Hi, I'm Neil. I'm recording my first ASMR video. ASMR videos I just learned about a couple days ago. My daughter Grace showed me a few and we had some fun making a little ASMR video, and I decided I would make one, a longer one for her. So here we go. This is how we start. Today I'm going to chat with you about film cameras. Yes, we actually use something different than digital. And this is what we used. This is, focus isn't working well, but this is motion picture film. Or not motion picture film, this is 35 millimeter film for still cameras. And what it's made up of is an acetate base and a bunch of silver particles, and when exposed to light and washed with certain chemicals, it will yield an image. And so we used to use these crazy cameras like this one. This is a favorite of mine. It's called a Pentax Spotmatic, and it was first made around 1965, I think. And this one is in really nice condition. I've taken some pretty good pictures with it. But there's some basic principles about photography that you just don't even know when you use a camera on your phone, because everything's done for you. So this camera is actually all manual. And so you get a choice to choose the shutter speed and the lens opening, and I'll show you how that works. So this camera has, let's try to get a good focus and a good angle on this. It has a lot of reflection there. There we go. It has an iris in it, and as you can see, I can open and close that iris and let different amounts of light into the picture. So the other thing that affects the amount of light that goes on the film is the shutter speed. And so if I open the camera up, we can see the shutter rate here. And if I just make sure the film is advanced, that's a shutter curtain moving. If I press the shutter, that was half a second. I'll show you that again. So the amount of light that goes in depends on how long that shutter is open. Well, that was a half a second. Now I'll show you 1/60th of a second. That's a lot quicker. Let's show that again to you. Now if we went up to the maximum speed of 1/1000th, it would look like this. Did you miss that? Did you see it? Went pretty fast, eh? So that's how we determine how much light goes in the film. And you know, you need that if you're going from dark to bright, you know, if you're filming outside or inside. So if we look at this camera, I can show you kind of how the film goes in it. Doing this a little backwards. So the film canister goes in here. Kind of hard to do when I can't see it very well. There we go. And the film goes across the back here and in a slot. I'll try to do this. I can't see very well myself here. There we go. So I'm going to wind it on a bit here. Hopefully I've got that on. There we go. And it's getting, film's getting taken up on this side here. And there we go. And so when we take a picture, we're actually exposing the other side of the film here. And that's kind of how it works. This camera is called a single lens reflex because you look through here and you're actually looking through the lens that you take the pictures with. And before these kind of cameras came out, you look through a different lens or a different viewfinder than the picture taking lens. And so sometimes what you saw and went on film didn't really line up, you know? So, so they developed these single lens reflex cameras, and to make it easier for you to know exactly what's going on film. The way they work, I can demonstrate by this camera. It has the lens off. And when you take a picture, the mirror flips up for just a second. And so it reveals, that's the shutter there. Kind of a bad angle for you. Let me see if I can do that better. Okay, there's the shutter. And when I take a picture, let's see if I've got that. There you go. It just went for a quick moment there, but usually the mirror flips up with the shutter. And so the mirror helps you actually look through this viewfinder here. The only time that your view is blocked is when the picture is being taken. I wish I could show you in the viewfinder here, but haven't figured a way of getting the camera to be able to, you know, see inside there. Just need a right lens for it or something like that. So when cameras like this were made, at a certain point, people decided they wanted a little more automation. This one's really basic, so you set your own lens opening, and you set your own shutter speed, and you set your own focus. And so after a while, people started wondering, you know, can I get some of those features done for me? And so as electronics came, like this camera's all mechanical. The only thing that the battery powers in it is the light meter. And that tells you how to make your settings on your camera to get a good exposure. But that's the only thing the battery powers. It's all mechanical. It can run without a battery. So what people started doing, the manufacturers, is they made different cameras. This one's a Nikon. It's a Japanese Nikon called a Nikkormat. But in Japan they call it Nikomat. Anyways, this camera had, and I'll try and show it to you here. That's the shutter speed dial, but on it you can see the letter A. The letter A is automatic. And so what happens is, on this camera, you can choose the lens opening with this dial here, and it's set to the green dot right over there. So we've got it set wide open here at 3.5 right now. But what happens is, to get a proper exposure, it will pick the shutter speed if you've got to set it on automatic. So it makes it a little easier. You have one less thing to do. So this camera has a little bit more electronics than the last one, but it's still all very mechanical. But they started making electronic shutters, and this is one of the first cameras that had an electronic shutter. Now, oh, by the way, this is probably mid to late 1970s for this one. Now we're into the early 80s. This camera was, I think, 1982. And what this camera had is, you could do the same settings on this one. It has lens settings right here, and shutter speed settings, wrong side, right, whoop, focus, there we go, shutter speed settings right here. and it has the A mode that you saw on the last camera, but it also has another one, and I think you got to press a button. Yeah, that button there to get into that mode. Ugh, a little awkward. A P setting. Now, what's the P setting? It's not a bathroom thing. It doesn't have anything to do with that. What it is program. And so if you put the lens onto this green setting, I'll try to do that. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. It says 22 on there, but it's green. That will have the camera automatically select the lens opening and then automatically select the shutter speed. So it's pretty cool, a little more automated. Same thing in the back here. It still uses film and it still has the same kind of shutter, but it's all electronic. So they found a way to make the lens opening electronic, the shutter speed electronic. You still have to focus though with this camera. So this is about 1982. Now this one, in 1984, they started selling cameras that were, well, this one's still pretty solid. It's a really solid camera, and for the time it was pretty good. But this one's made with a lot of plastic, and it has very few settings. So if we look at this, right, come on, focus. There we go. It's got 4 settings. One is a battery check, one is a lock for the shutter, and then we've got program mode. Whoop, there it is, it's turned on. And then a self-timer mode. So this one, it won't let you select the shutter. It'll give you all sorts of warnings. So it's got to be on A right here. Or sorry, it won't let you choose the lens opening. You have to set it on A or else it'll give you all sorts of warnings. And there's no shutter speed on this one at all. So this is a program camera. The only thing you do on this one, it's a little different. And I'm going to just pull the film out of this one and show you how this one loads, because it's a little different too. Oh, wrong camera. Just give me a second here, I'll get the film out of this. There it is, film. So this one, it loads the same way. It's kind of similar but different. Now this one, when you put the film in, I'm having a little hard time working backwards here. You put the film in this side, take it across the shutter, and then it goes in here. You just put the end of it in here, and it will automatically load it up. You don't have to fiddle with getting it on the spool. So, and the interesting thing about this camera is it's got a metal shutter. The metal shutters did faster flash speeds and were a lot more reliable than glass shutters. So there we go, we got that in there. So now we got the film in that side. All we gotta do is place it in there. Again, we don't have to put it around a spool or anything. Close it. Press the shutter 3 times, and it's ready to go. You know, this camera is, as I said, it's a little more plasticky, but it has an automatic film advance, which is kind of cool. You can see the iris there. It's closed down because there's a fair bit of light falling on me here. And then when you're done, some of these cameras automatically rewound the film. This one doesn't. But this one takes all the complications out of film photography away from you, does all the exposure and everything, and all you have to do is focus it. So those, shutter speed, lens opening settings, and focus are all the things that you do on a manual camera that you really don't have to do on your phone's camera anymore. But knowing those principles, how to use shutter speed for fast and slow objects, how to use the lens opening to make shallow focus or out of focus backgrounds, is all something that you can really get into and have much more control over with a camera like this. So I have to say, this one is my favorite. Actually, I like it because it's all mechanical. It's no surprises. It actually, once you understand the principles of lens opening, shutter speed, it's pretty simple to use. And you know what? I love the sound it makes. That's a real